I'm going to give you 5 hot takes that I genuinely believe to be true.
Number 5.
The Packers are good, but they're not great. The Bears are who we thought they were. They're bad. The Bears are not a good football team. So you did not get all right again by beating them last night. But I don't know what the hell the Bears are doing, by the way, and it cost me the spread. I picked Chicago plus the 10, and they cover that game last night if they sneak Justin Fields from the 1-yard line instead of putting him in the shotgun on a quarterback sneak down by the goal line. I don't know what the hell that is. But the point of it is the Bears just aren't very good. So I don't want to hear, the Packers are fine now because Aaron Jones ran all over the Bears. So my hot take number 5 is the Packers are good because they have Aaron Rodgers. They have some players on offense. They got a little bit of their offensive line back. They'll get the rest. And the defense, everyone tells me, is going to be excellent. But my hot take is the Packers are good. They're not great. And in the NFC, there are teams that I think will definitely be better than them as the season goes on. My hot take's coming off Sunday.
Number 4.
Joe Burrow's offensive line got worse. How did that happen? Did I miss a meeting? Like, the Giants have always had this thing with me, Hembo. Like, the Giants, every single year they adjust their offensive line, and every year it gets worse. Now, maybe this year they finally got it a little better. The Bengals, whose offensive line was embarrassed last year, all the sacks that Burrow took and everything else, they went out, they spent a bunch of money on guys who were supposed to be able to play. And somehow they got worse. What the hell happened?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How many games of data do you need to say, well, maybe some of the problem, part of the problem, much of the problem is the quarterback himself?
Or is it the coaching? Is there something with the scheme? I mean, you tell me. I mean, you're telling me that Burrow is the reason he gets hit so much?
I think Joe Burrow hangs onto the football much too often, and that is a huge reason why he takes all those sacks and takes all those pressures.
I tell you, I mean, that's a good take. You just took my take and made it better.
Sacks are a quarterback stat. Pressures are more a offensive line stat. But Joe Burrow last year being sacked 70 times was more on him than the offensive line. Our numbers yesterday said the Cowboys actually blocked worse than the Bengals did, and he still took all those sacks and still took all that pressure.
Wow. So the hot take that I gave has been amplified by Hembo, and I like it to say the Bengals' problems in pass protection are at least partially the responsibility of the star young quarterback. That is a great take.
Number 3.
Russell Wilson may not be elite. I'm just not convinced that Russell Wilson was a terrific player in Seattle. He had a lot of great moments. And I really thought he was going to come to Denver and play great. And he, of course, it's 2 weeks. He still may. But here's what I will ask you. Have you ever seen a team with Aaron Rodgers on it look like that? The obvious answer is no. And what conversations would we be having about the Broncos right now if their quarterback was Rodgers, not Russell? Russell Wilson is a very good player. That is cemented. He deserves that. I believe that when his career is over, he will go to the Hall of Fame based on the accomplishments. But is he a superstar player? Through 2 weeks at least, the answer is clearly no. No team with Patrick Mahomes would look like that. No team with Lamar Jackson would look like that. No team with Justin Herbert would look like that. No team with Aaron Rodgers would look like that. No team with Tom Brady would look like that. So, look, we're sitting here blaming Nathaniel, no make it Nathan, no make it Nate Hackett, and I get it and I like it. But at the end of the day, Russell Wilson has to take at least some of this responsibility. Do we have to ask ourselves right now, is he truly an elite quarterback? Why are you giving me that look?
Because I'm taking 10 years of data over 2 games of data.
Was he an elite quarterback in Seattle?
Russell Wilson is 4th in the history of the NFL in passer rating. He is 3rd in the history of the NFL in touchdown to interception ratio. He might not be a top 5 quarterback in the sport right now, but I need to see it for more than 2 weeks before I'm willing to go where you went.
Bubba and Hembo, Bubba, Nuno, either of you have a problem with that? Which side of that are you on?
Yeah, I think we've overvalued Russell Wilson this whole time.
Okay, fair enough. I want to save time for each of you to give your take, so let me give you my last 2.
Number 2.
This is not a nice thing to say. So I want to make it clear. The words on the screen do not reflect what I mean, even though they are an accurate representation of what I said. The injury to Trey Lance is horrible. I feel terrible for him. And in the long run, this is awful for the 49ers who mortgaged their franchise to get him. And this could very well wind up significantly stunting his development because This is a guy who did not get to play his senior year because of COVID in college. They only played one game. He barely played last year, and now he will barely play this year. Young quarterbacks don't take 3 years off very often. So I really hope he winds up being a great player. But for the purposes of this season, for the chances of winning a championship this year, which I think is within their grasp, the 49ers are better off with Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback than Trey Lance. Am I right or am I wrong, says Hembo?
I think you're right. When Jimmy G starts, the 49ers win 70% of their games. They average 28 points a game. He's not elite, but the offense functions as elite when he runs it.
Bubba, yes or no? The Niners are, in the short run, better off with Garoppolo.
Oh, 100% better.
Okay, fair enough. And then let me save time for each of you to have one more. I'll give you my number one hot take.
Number one.
Garrett Wilson is the best receiver the Jets have ever had. I've been a Jet fan all of my life. I don't go back to Maynard, who was in the Hall of Fame and was the best receiver by far in the early Jets history. He was on the Super Bowl team and all the rest of that. I didn't see him play. So in my youth, the really good Jets receivers, I mean, in no particular order, were Jerome Barkham and Richard Castor, and then came Wesley Walker and Lamb Jones. Wesley Walker was a really good player, and then came Al Toon, and then ultimately in came Keyshawn and all these guys, and then Lavernius Coles and Santana Moss. Garrett Wilson, in 2 games I can already see, is the best receiver the Jets have ever had. He has talent that I've never seen from a Jet player. He could be great. I mean, he could be so ridiculously good. For all the things that happened yesterday, and I spent the beginning of the show today talking at length about it, for all the things that happened to the Jets yesterday, by far the best of them was Garrett Wilson, even if they lost. If they lost that game, if they didn't recover that onside kick, if they gave up a touchdown at the end to Brissett, no matter what, you could see it the whole game. I even loved his drop. Garrett Wilson dropped the ball, and I said to myself, you know what? That kid is never going to do that again. And he said after the game, I'm going to spend the whole rest of the day on the jugs machine. That kid wants it. He is special. He is freakishly talented. The Jets have a star in the making in Garrett Wilson.